Hello and welcome to part 4 of the Quizness series. Today I'm going to be taking you through my step-by-step process for writing effective quiz questions. Now, this is maybe not the sexiest topic when we're thinking about creating a quiz for your business. However, it is the thing that I know most entrepreneurs tend to get really roadblocked by, confused. It can just be a real challenge, but it doesn't have to be. I'm going to show you my step-by-step process for making it happen right now. So if you're just joining us, I want to give you kind of a quick little overview of what we've been up to over the past few days. And of course, replays will be available if you're not catching this live. Over the past 3 days, we really focused on deciding your quiz strategy as well as the type of quiz and the topic that you're going to cover for your quiz for your business. And then today we move into the create phase. So talking about how do you actually get started creating your quiz. And the first step is thinking through what are those questions going to be, right? So if you haven't already seen the rest of the Quizness series, parts 1 through 3, be sure to check those out first. And you can watch this video all the way through, but be sure to check those out and then come back to this part. Next week will be live all about a little more creation stuff and then promotion. And I have a handy workbook for you at annemarierose.com/quiz guide that will help you follow along and implement as you go. So let's dive into today's topic, which is, like I said, all about writing quiz questions. Now, it's really important to be intentional when it comes to writing your quiz questions because effective quiz questions will keep your audience engaged so that they actually complete the quiz. Remember, most of the time we're talking about creating a quiz as a lead magnet, a way to grow our email list with freebies and that type of a thing. So what we really want to do is make sure that we're keeping everyone engaged and that way they'll actually finish the quiz. All right, so the pre-work to writing your quizzes at all is going to be, I'm moving that over so we can read, is to define the results that you want people to get when they take the quiz. So make sure that those results are creating a quick win for your audience. That we talked all about that in yesterday's video, so that's part 3. So be sure to check that out. I dive deeper into defining your quiz's results in that video. So you need to do that ahead of time before you can really get into the process of brainstorming your questions. But the first thing you want to do when you brainstorm is think about what insights do you need. So once you have clear results that you want people to get from taking the quiz, now you start to think, okay, what do I need to know in order to give someone that result? What do you need? What questions do you need? Or what pieces of information do you need from them? And then what are the different variations of those pieces of information? Now, the next slide will be an example, so all this will start to make sense. But then once you kind of know, okay, here's one piece of information I would need from people, and then let's just say age is one of them, and then variations might be, different age ranges, like are you in your 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever it is. That would be just a really simple example of the different variations. If you need to know somebody's age, and then the variations could be, are they in their 20s, 30s, or 40s, right? And then paths. So how might you arrange the responses that you're getting on a particular path to a specific result? So let's say just a really simple example would be like a skincare line. If you have different, an anti-aging skincare line or different skincare recommendations for different people in different age ranges, well, maybe you also need to know what type of skin that they have. And if you've got a 30-year-old who has combination skin, they may get a particular result. That would be how you would start to consider what those paths would look like. Here, like I said, is a very specific example from my own quiz experience, my own quiz, the Brand Message Breakthrough Quiz, which you can take at brandmessagequiz.com, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. So the first, when we're talking about the insights that are needed, that's right up here. I need to know what brand building efforts were already working well for my audience. So what were they already doing that they felt like was working well in comparison to other people in their space, right? So that was one thing I knew I needed to be able to. Now the result of this quiz, for reference, is I give you a brand type. I basically type your brand and give you almost a type of brand that then indicates the certain strengths and personality of your brand, some components of that. So I needed to know, in order to do that, what's working well for you, what things are kind of going your way, or what do you find easy about the brand building process. That sort of thing I knew would help me to determine what type of brand they have. So there are some variations that people could, I knew, give me some variations of that response. Like if I just imagined myself asking these questions to someone in person or getting this information from someone in person, I knew that my audience would generally give me one of these answers. Either their relationships were helping them to build their brand, they have a unique approach that's helping them to build their brand, they have a lot of knowledge on their subject matter and that's helping them, or maybe they're just super consistent. They show up and they've kind of endured through, and other people have just kind of given up or been inconsistent, right? And then I knew that those paths would look like, because I only had people are only on two, they're going to be on one of two paths as they take this quiz. So if they gave me response 1 or 2, relationships or a unique approach, they would be on the path that told me I should put them on the path of being in that more creative and experience-driven camp. And then if they gave me response 3 or 4, I knew they should be on the path to being more analytical and results-driven. And then that would help me to determine the type of brand that they have. So once you have done that brainstorming, now it's time to craft your questions. And the first thing that you need to do when you go to craft your questions is make sure that you're going to use your audience's words. So it can be really easy to work in certain lingo that you use as the expert, as someone who's been doing what you do for a long time, but make sure that you're asking it in a way that your audience is going to understand, and also that it's really going to resonate with their emotions. And then think about the answer. Variations are, so if you see this is sort of like SAT version, I don't even know what those are called. I really liked that part of the SAT though. Did not like the math section, but whatever that's called, where you put the colon and it's like a comparison sort of. I don't know. Sure, there's somebody out there right now. But then, so the insights that you brainstormed, those are going to equal your questions. Those are going to turn into your questions. And then the variations that you came up with, those are going to become your answer options. And here you want to avoid using leading language. And what I mean by that is, if you have 4 different answer options and there's one that sounds super positive and exciting and you've used all these great words to describe it, but then the other 3 are still valid, they just are don't sound as exciting, people are likely going to trend towards that one more exciting sounding answer. So you want to keep all the language as neutral as possible if it makes sense for you. I mean, if you've got 4 positive words that make a lot of sense to share with people, and I'll actually give you a good example of that in a second, then go for it, but just make sure that they all sound positive, right? So you want to avoid pushing them towards one answer or the other. And then the paths. So this is just the sequence that you're going to put the questions in that makes sense. And my recommendation here is sticking to about 6 to 10 questions, no more than that. And that doesn't include like asking for their name and email. All right, so here is a clear example. This is exactly how I did it in my own quiz. The question that I asked to get that insight that I knew I needed was, the brand building strength that comes most naturally to you is blank. And then if you go to take the quiz, you'll see I have photos with them as well, and a little bit further explanation for these answer options. But then the answer options became connection, creativity, consistency, and curiosity. And like I said, I add a little more explanation to those things in the actual quiz, but this is, I just wanted to give you a quick, clear example of what this actually looks like. And then for my paths are 6 questions, and those end up giving them a result of either an expert brand or a mentor brand. And then I go on to explain what each of those means when they land on the results page. So that is the path that's kind of the sequence of the questions. I have 6 questions, and after answering them, it'll know that they either are an expert brand or a mentor brand. All right, so there is my simple, basically 2-step process: brainstorm and then write, and as well as best practices to help you get started writing your quiz questions. Speaking of questions, I would love to know if you have any questions at this point about, like, what are your biggest questions around creating a quiz? I want to make sure to incorporate what's going to help you the most in the upcoming 4 parts of this series, which will be live next week. Don't pay attention to what it says about step 4. That's today. But the rest of the series will be live starting next week on Tuesday. If you're watching the replay, I'm sure you can catch it in, you can follow along with the series step by step. And if you want some help, some more interactive support creating your quiz, I am going to be periodically hosting live online workshop intensives. It'll be 2 days, 4 workshops where we'll be actually implementing all these steps I'm sharing with you. You'll get my feedback. We'll be able to see each other on video calls, and it'll be a whole group dynamic, and it'll be a lot of fun. So if you want more information about my next upcoming quiz intensive workshop, just you can head to annemierose.com/quizintensive, and I'll send you information as soon as the next one is on the calendar. All right, that being said, I'd love to hear any questions that you have, and I'll see you back here next week for part 5 through 8.